Hello everyone. So today I'm going to describe for a lecture for today. My name is Eddie. Okay, what I'm going to describe about this topic is that I'm going to describe about how to memorize the Korean vocabulary very easily. Okay, let's try to go for next page. So in some cases that whenever we try to understand about the memorizing the words that ends with ka, which means that let's try to give example. In English, if you try to memorize the word as a writer, the writer could be analyzed as a word as a write plus R, right? So what do you mean by the word as a write plus R? So which means it's kind of a person who tries to do for the work as a professional job, right? And also, or whenever we try to describe the word as a painter, the word as a paint plus er, right? Paint means to draw something, right? And whenever the word that ends with the er, then it describes the word as a person who's trying to doing the work as a professional jobs, right? Then if we try to translate these two vocabularies into Korean, then what can we able to say is that we try to say as taka. Taka means writer and hwaga means painter. Then how could we able to memorize with the word as taka and hwaga? Tak means that something that we could able to write that we could able to describe as taka. Then what do you mean by the word as a hwaga? Hwa means that something that we try to draw something on the paint. So that's what we try to say as hwaga. So in English, so if you try to memorize some the vocabularies, all you need to do is we just can able to memorize the word as did the end with er, right? But let's try to go for next page. So according to Korean word, some of the Korean word that ends with the sa, right? In general, if you try to understand what the word as a sa means, sa usually describes about the jobs, right? But the word of sa could be described as a professional job, right? So in English, whenever the word that ends with er, then it means it describes about the person who is doing for the job, right? The most important point about the English is that we could able to memorize only about another word that ends with er, but in Korean, we need to be additionally memorized with the word as sa. Then let's try to give example. So in Korean word, there's a word called as the doctor, 의사, 변호사, and 회계사, right? So whenever we try to describe this into English, we try to say as doctor, right? So in Korean word, we try to say as 의사. 의 means some kind of medical and medicine, right? Then what do you mean by the word as a 사? 사 means a person who works as a professional job. Whenever we try to understand the vocabularies between 의사 and 변호사 and 회계사, whenever the vocabularies that ends with 사, then they could able to get as a lot of money. So that's why we try to describe as 의사 and 변호사 and 회계사. And next, if we try to understand the word as a 변호사, 변호 means a person who tries to persuade the victims and the criminals, right? In Korean word, whenever the word that ends with the hada, hada could be described as a verb. Okay, so I'm going to describe with these vocabularies on the next lecture, so that the word that came from as a pyono hada and sa. Pyono means that a person who is trying to persuade the victims and the criminals, right? Then what do you mean by word as a sa? Sa could be described as a professional job, right? Okay, let's try to understand about the word as the 회계사. 회계 means account. A person trying to consider about the money, right? And what do you mean by word as a sa? Sa could be described as a professional job, right? Alright, so this is today's lecture about how to memorize about the vocabularies that very easily with Korean. Okay, so next class, what I'm going to describe about is that I'm going to share with you about how to memorize with the Korean word that ends with hada or ta. Whenever the word that ends with hada and ta, then it described as the verb. In some cases, whenever we try to memorize the differences between English and Korean, I can able to say that the Korean word is a very Korean verb is very easy to memorize. Whenever the word that ends with hada, then generally we try to go for as a verb, right? Okay, I'm going to go with the next class. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day.